In this screen recording, we're going to continue talking about the storm that used to be a typhoon, Merbok, and the effect it's having on some of these coastal communities in western Alaska along the coastline. These are some of the most isolated communities in the United States. They are not connected to a road system that takes them to the highways in the interior. To get to these places, you got to take a plane or a boat or a snow machine, depending on the time of year. So let's just start with looking at some of the areas that are mentioned on Twitter when we search the hashtag AKWX weather, and then looking those places up in Google Earth. So right now we have this imagery of the Bering Strait. Right as the storm passes right through those areas. Looking a little lower, we can see some tide gauges from Nome. That line going right down the center of the graph is where the latest observance is. And this is a little old now. I'm on California time, September 17th, just almost 8 a.m. And so Alaska time is, I want to say it's an hour later. So if this is 5 a.m., this would be 4 a.m. California time when you're on that UTC time. Red Dog, tide is high, but not quite as high yet. So it still hasn't, neither one of these places has peaked, but Nome is already at almost 9 feet, shooting to peak at 12.5. Red Dog Dock tide gauge is at a little over 3, shooting to peak at a little over 7. So yeah, people may be familiar where Nome is, maybe not Red Dog, so let's fly there. This is Globelin, and sorry if I'm not pronouncing the village names correctly. Yupik's not my first language. So we can see there's another report on Twitter that I'm going to zoom out so you can see where it's at within the western coast of Alaska. So there's the state, this tiny little village right there, and you can actually see the storm on radar right now passing through the Bering Sea. So if we zoom back in, this right here is the old runway. We can just tell by how wide this road is and how well compacted it is. And obviously this is the new one. And they say this is underwater. So then you have these, what look to be ponds of some sort. This imagery data is in the winter because things are frozen. And then the community kind of behind those areas. So this community's probably been just devastated. If that runway's underwater, everything, there's just not a lot of high ground to move things, right? Think of this as like, if we can get some vertical exaggeration here, think of this as it's a coastal plain. So in the time of the glaciers, a glacier just flattened this land pretty much like a pancake. So when it comes to storm surge, these communities are significantly affected. Okay, let's go to Red Dog. Which is in Kotzebue, another coastal community. And this is imagery from the winter again. So we can see the snowpack on the tundra. Well, let's zoom out and see our runway strip there. This is a little more inland. And then if we go to Kotzebue, which is right on the coast, and it's a bigger community. You can see they got a paved runway. Anytime you see a paved runway, that's that's a good thing if you're stationed in one of these villages, teaching school, or maybe you're a native and this is where you're born, or you now live, or you're just someone who moved to the village to live in a village. You can see that this is a really nice runway for a village, and this community is right on the ocean. So it's a bigger community, and they're definitely going to be affected by this storm. So that's where that gauge is. It's going to be at one of these bridges, probably might even be right here where that gauge is at. Looks like based on this satellite imagery, there's actually some paved, they have a paved runway and some paved roads from the looks of it, which is uncommon in this part of Alaska. So, and then of course the road system basically doesn't go out far much beyond the village. So if you were to travel to Kotzebue, plane is going to be your best option. Boat in the summer when there's not sea ice, and snow machine in the winter. So there's that village. We'll go to Nome real quick just to get context. It's another big village that that's coastal. So it's on the other side of this big peninsula, and we can see they actually have two runway strips which allow planes to land in different wind directions. So if the wind's blowing this way, you can land it in the wind. Same if it's going that way. And again, the community is just right up against the ocean. Fortunately, the elementary school's pretty far back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blocks. Hospital's pretty far back. So those are areas that, when these homes that are closest to the ocean and have the probability of being at the lowest elevation and most affected by the tidal surge, same with all these homes right here that are just right on the edge, those people will probably seek refuge in the community center, the school, and if there's a gymnasium in the hospital, that will be a spot there too. I'm surprised there's actually a subway here. I didn't realize Nome was that big. All right. Over here's where they have the fuel cells, and this is probably the power center of the community. They got a bunch of Connex shipping containers over there. And this is the gas station too. So what happens in these regions is, once a year, ship will come in, fuel tanker, and fill up all the fuel cells. And then when I was in the bush in Calskag about 10 years ago, gas was $10 a gallon. I'm not sure what it's at now. I doubt it's any cheaper than that, though. Okay, let's look at some other villages mentioned. Looking at some serious wind over the Bering Sea with speeds over 50 miles an hour. This is an inland forecast at Fairbanks. The high of 56 today. Hooper Bay is getting a lot of media attention right now. I think one, it's very exposed. It's feeling the effects earlier. So here's a little video of what we're seeing in Hooper Bay from last night. And It's looking like the homes that are closest to the ocean are having the worst effects, but the wind is damaging things as well. So this isn't just water damage, this is wind damage as well. And you can see this is a home very close to the ocean, just getting, these homes are being flooded by the tidal surge. Okay. So we'll go a little further south to the Kuskokwim Delta, where we're looking at storm surge 5 to 7 feet above normal high tide. So that's still enough to cause some flooding. So Kuskokwim is south of Yukon. They kind of snake past each other. So we can see some of these Quigalik. Oh man, the Yupik people watching this I'm sure are laughing at me right now. It's just okay. They're like another Gusik butchering who can't speak Yupik. This is a tiny community in the Delta region. Homes are a little more spread out, but all at low elevation. That's probably the school. Looking how big the building is. Could be a homestead though. And there's the river. So this is just a delta region. And you see these lakes all around it from this delta of the river coming out. Strong winds in the Kuskokwim Delta. 75-mile-an-hour winds can, rip the sheeting off a house that's doesn't have good sheeting or very old sheeting. As we move, 86 near Hooper Bay. That is a lot of wind, and there's not going to be a lot of planes flying right now or boats out at sea. These guys are very isolated. Another image of the storm from MODIS. Wow, St. George. That's astonishing. Let's go there. We'll make this our last community to fly to today. Oh, this is way out there on the Aleutian chain. Oof, man. Communities are so small. This imagery hasn't been updated. Oh, there's some 2019 imagery. It's still not very good. Very tiny coastal village out on the Aleutians. Wow. I don't even know if that would be considered an Aleutian island, being north of this chain. All right, that's all I got for today. Stay strong out there, Alaska. Thanks for watching. We'll see you around.